Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? Welcome here, whether you're watching this live or if you're going to watch this after it's been recorded. Welcome here. My name is Mike with Pillar, and I'm here today to just chat or possibly answer some questions if you guys have any. So what I have here is I've got a list of common questions that we normally get at trade shows and things like that. And since obviously we can't do trade shows right now, I decided that I would take some time and answer a few of these questions so that hopefully they can be of help to you, whether you're watching this now or in the future. Most of these answers are going to stay the same. Obviously things change, but yeah, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat, or you can send them to us on Twitter or Facebook. You can text me, and I will try to get them answered. Also, if the sound is quiet or loud or you're having issues with that, just let me know. I will do my best to adjust it as we go through this. So what I'll do is I will start off with a question. I'll type them into the chat here just so you guys know what I'm answering. As soon as a question pops up, I'll answer it here. All right, so question number one is, what are the benefits of a disc drill versus a hoe drill? So I look at it more in the way of what do they each do? And the reason why the pillar drill is special is because it's actually a hybrid between the two systems. So we've got the disc and the hoe working together, and the idea is that we want to get the best elements out of both the disc and the hoe, while also negating some of the negative things that often come along with either one of those systems. So the pillar being a hybrid, we use the speed and trash cutting ability of the disc, giving us that flexibility, but we don't like the idea of the seed placement of a typical disc opener. The pillar disc opener is, even if you are seeding with a disc, is quite accurate that way, but the hoe has always been known for making a better seed bed. You usually get a wider seed spread, and it's often more reliable as far as consistent depth. So with our opener, we get the trash cutting ability and the speed of the disc, and we get the precision placement of the hoe. So that's why the pillar opener is a little different. Obviously, both disc drills and hoe drills have their place. Hoe drills are typically a lot more simple. So again, with our system, we're trying to be as simple as possible without a lot of the complexities that disc drills normally come with. But we still want the performance, right? So that's what we're going for is the best mix of performance and simplicity. All right, question number two. What is the average speed that you can travel? So that's a bit of a loaded question, but what we tell guys is typically about 6 to 6.5 miles an hour is a good average seeding speed. Now, that may depend a lot on your soil conditions. If you were running in very loose soil conditions, such as mellow ground like lentil stubble, pea stubble, chem fallow, stuff like that, or if you have just tilled the ground, you may have to slow down. Otherwise, you might get staging. You might get the front rows starting to cover the back rows. So that's something you have to kind of just play by ear and see, your own personal fields, how things perform. But typically, most guys seed within about 5 to 6.5 miles an hour. And on the high side of that, we don't recommend going faster than that for long periods of time. But in most field conditions, you can if you need to. So you get some rain clouds coming, you got rain in the forecast. By all means, I would bump it up a little bit if I need to. if you sustain higher speeds for a longer time, your wear curve will go up exponentially. So where you normally get a certain amount out of seed boots and discs, again, depending on field conditions and the year's conditions, but that wear curve is going to go up exponentially, and you can actually start to wear your seed boot um, in an irreparable way. So yes, you can go faster at times, but sustaining higher speeds will result in higher wear and higher maintenance. Yes, you can go faster at times, but sustaining higher speeds will result in higher wear and higher maintenance. Yes, you can go faster at times, but sustaining higher speeds will result in higher wear and higher maintenance. So I've got a question for you that either you guys can answer right now in the chat, or if you see this later on, you can answer in the YouTube comments as well. What have you done this year in lieu of trade shows? So, I mean, as a company, with obviously Pillar is doing the best we can to try to communicate with farmers. We're looking to different ways. The digital events and things like that we've tried them. I don't see them as being a replacement for in-person trade shows. They can't be. Our industry is all about in-person conversation and getting to know and develop relationships with their customers. So there's no way that a digital world, in my mind, is ever going to replace person-to-person or in-person trade shows. That's always been our bread and butter, and we love the conversations we have at trade shows. It might not even always be about our equipment. It might just be a friendship that we've developed because of the trade shows or because of the equipment that we've sold somebody. So my question, is what have you guys done? Are you still communicating with other farmers? Are you communicating with companies? How are you finding your information? Is a live stream like this helpful? I mean, we don't have a huge following on YouTube, but obviously it's available to anybody even in the future. So is this a good route? I do plan on keeping up a regular, probably weekly live stream, and hopefully we get a few conversations going on here, but I don't expect a huge amount of traffic. I'm just doing this as a way to reach out, and hopefully we can help you guys with some of your questions that we would normally get at trade shows and we would normally answer there. So another question that we get often is, what is trash clearance like? So the trash clearance on our openers is obviously one of the most, I would say one of the biggest benefits of our opener is that it is very good at clearing trash. So again, it depends very much on the field situation, but we would be able to see through most of the biggest messes that you can see in a field. Again, it depends very much on the field situation, but as an example, I'm going to see if I can pull this up here. And forgive me if this doesn't work, but I'm going to try. As an example, I'm going to see if I can pull this up here. And forgive me if this doesn't work, but I'm going to try. I'm going to attempt to pull up a video here. I'm going to attempt to pull, and we'll see if it works. And we'll see if it works.
With over 100 years of experience in agriculture design, Pillar is a name you can trust. As technology advances, creating heavier crops, residue management becomes more of a concern for producers.
Okay, so this video right here, just going to give it a second. Okay, so this video right here, just going to give it a second. So this video right here, this is a situation where a farmer had about 800 acres of wheat that was not harvested. It was about a 60 to 65 bushel wheat crop, I believe. Um, and he wasn't able to harvest it. It got snowed on in the end of the year, and the snow stuck, and it never came off until spring. So what happened was is he was working with crop insurance, and by the time that was finished, it was beginning of June, and nothing had been done to the field other than just the snow. So it was laying flat, and his brother-in-law works at Pillar, and somehow they got connected, and we went out and did a little demo for him. And after that demonstration, he asked if there's anybody that we knew in the area that custom seeded. So there are two individuals who do custom seeding in our local area with Pillar drills, and so they hired them to come out and seed this 800 acres. I think they started seeding on about June the 6th and finished on the 8th, I believe. So this is video from that, and I mean they're just drag seeding into this this laying wheat. So as far as lodged, I mean you can see there's green wheat growing through their regrowth from the last year, and it just seeds directly through it. They did say that when they tried seeding along with the rows the one morning when it was still wet, they had a couple of bunching issues, but as soon as they went perpendicular to the crop, it had no issues. It just went straight through. And even later in the day, once things dried up, they said they could even go along with the rows and it had no issues. So now this video is even with the Mark II openers, so there's a lot of questions we get about that too. Which openers are better. The new Mark III openers actually improved the trash clearance quite a bit, but these are the old openers. This is the original standard Pillar openers that are doing this seeding here. So it's one of the key features of our drill. I mean, it was designed to do no-till and to seed into any kind of garbage that you can throw at it. That being said, we've had challenges from year to year too. There are things that come up just like anything else, but it does a pretty good job in trash. So let's wait for the next comment to pop up here. Okay, so this is another question we often get on hairpinning. So when you're talking about disc drills, that's one of the questions that always comes up. People who are familiar with disc drills or who run disc drills on a regular basis often deal with hairpinning, and that is one of the, I would say, greatest flaws of a typical single shoot disc drill. So how does our drill deal with that? Because we always say our drill doesn't hairpin. Now it's a bit of a, you have to word it carefully, because we say we do not hairpin in the seed bed. When you seed with the disc, there is always a little chance of getting some straw down there, but we're confident in that as well. Like a lot of guys will seed peas or beans and things like that down the disc slot, which is typically your fertilizer slot. But even then, we feel like we do a really good job, even compared to other disc drills. But with the seed bed, what happens is that the disc clears the way for the seed boot, and it actually pushes everything to the side so that your seed boot actually comes from underneath to make its ledge. It doesn't actually have to deal with any of the surface straw. So no matter how much straw or garbage you have on top, your seed boot's really not dealing with it. Your disc pushes it to the side, and your seed boot is working with the disc to eliminate that chance. And even while you're seeding, if you do get some hairpinning happening with the disc, that's going down into your fertilizer trench, and that's not a big issue. You're still getting clean seed to soil contact on your seed bed, and you're getting a nice firm seed bed, and the soil is going over top of it without the straw being mixed in there. So that is how we deal with hairpinning with our drill, because it's a hybrid. Again, those two systems working together. So that is how we deal with hairpinning with our drill, because it's a hybrid. Again, those two systems working together. So just checking for other questions here. So even if you don't have questions, if you just want to say hi, just, say where you farm or who you are, just say hi in the chat, just so we know that I'm not talking to myself. I do see there are a couple people on here, so that's good. Where you farm or who you are, just say hi in the chat, just so we know that I'm not talking to myself. I do see there are a couple people on here, so that's good. So wait for the next question to pop up here, and then I'm going to talk about, I'll use our website here as a reference again. So wait for the next question to pop up here, and then I'm going to talk about, I'll use our website here as a reference again. Okay, so what are your toolbar sizes? So I'll use our website to demonstrate that. Okay, so what are your toolbar sizes? So I'll use our website. So our website is pillarag.com or pillarlasers.com. There's a few different ways to get there. But essentially, go to our website and, all of the information is there. So we sell everything from 30 feet up to 71 feet. So our main DH series toolbar, we have a 30 to 40 foot series. And that's the way those ones look there. So this would be a 40-foot drill right here. And I believe that's a 30-foot drill. This one is in Australia, a 40-foot drill. And I believe that's a 30-foot drill. And then we also, in that same series, build a 50 and 60-foot drill. And that is a 5-section drill. So that's going to have 5 sections, 2 wings on each side. And it's a regular folding style drill. So you can see here, this is how we ship them. We have all the wheels up on, the top of the trailer here. And then we'll typically ship them. We'll take all the front wheels off and the hitch and goes on top. And then it goes on a stand here. So this is a 60-foot drill right now. Outside wings folded up. The inside wings are still out. So that's a 50 and 60-foot drill. And then just last year, we released a brand new toolbar design. This is our Stealth Flex toolbar. So not only is it a bigger design, it is a completely new design. Right now, we build it in 71 feet. There may be different sizes available in this platform in the future. We do have the capability to go smaller or bigger with this platform. And we'll adjust that according to what we see the market asking for, essentially. So the Stealth Flex toolbar, it's a very unique design in the way that it's really big, but it transports incredibly small. And while it's seating, it's incredibly flexible. So all 5 sections of the drill can move independently. And that's what makes it quite unique. So you see here, this one that's set up as toe between. Again, they can be set up as toe behind as well. This is our 71-foot drill here. So you can see it flexing through the hills here. These aren't even overly big hills yet, but you can see how the different sections can move independently of each other. So that's one thing with our current DH series drills, is they have wing flex, but they don't have the ability to torque and twist where this one does. And so that's what makes it very nimble, even though it's a bigger drill. All right, I'll keep going through my questions here until somebody else has one. Please, if you have a question or a comment, just post it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll keep going through my frequently asked questions here. If you have a question or a comment, just post it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll keep going through my frequently asked questions here. All right, what are your spacings? So essentially, we offer 10 and 12-inch spacings. We used to offer a 9-inch spacing. We don't offer that spacing anymore because it takes away from the advantage of being able to seed fast. In most situations with the 9-inch spacing, you do have to seed slower. And so that's why we went to just 10 and a 12-inch spacing, and that's what's available now. And so that's why we went to just 10 and a 12-inch spacing, and that's what's available now. So it looks like the next one here is just a follow-up question to that. Basically, what is the most common spacing? I would say the most common spacing is a 10-inch spacing. Now, that being said, 12-inch seems to be getting more popular over the last couple of years. And I see often guys are, especially in the cereal crops, are hesitant to go to the 12-inch, especially with what our drill is called a disc drill, right? But guys who use the 12-inch absolutely love the 12-inch. So 10-inch is probably still more common, but 12-inch is also becoming more common. All right, got a question from Mike Hastings here. How much down travel do your openers have, like when seeding in the same direction as a ditch? So that's a really good question. We get that one often too. It depends on how deep you're seeding, because when you engage your subframes to different depths, you're compressing your spring more or less. You have about 14 inches of upward travel and approximately 4 to 5 inches of downward travel with the standard opener. The Mark III openers, the new ones, have a little bit more. And with the SF71, so the Stealth Flex platform, because the sections flex independently, there's also more allowance there as well. But they all move independently, and yeah, that's about how much movement they have. So hopefully that answers your question. If you go through a really sharp ditch, there's a chance where your opener is going to come out of the ground. If you're going along with the ditch like you're asking, it depends very much on where your wing sections are. If you're going right where there's a joint in a wing section, it's going to be different than if your ditch is right in the center of a wing section, right? If you're going right where there's a joint in a wing section, it's going to be different than if your ditch is right in the center of a wing section, right? Thanks for your question, by the way, Mike. If you got any more, just let me know. Or if I didn't answer that one good enough, you can always bring a follow-up question. Or if I didn't answer that one good enough, you can always bring a follow-up question. All right, so along the same lines of the spacing questions, one of the questions we get again is, what are the benefits not only of a 10-inch spacing, but of a 12-inch spacing? So the benefits of a 10-inch spacing, obviously, is you have a much closer row-to-row distance. Because we spread our seed on the ledge with the seed boot about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches wide, you end up with about 8.5 inches between the rows from row to row on the 10-inch space machine. So it gives you that tighter spacing for cereal crops, especially if you're wanting to swath. That's, I guess, the benefit of a 10-inch spacing. If you go to the benefits of a 12-inch spacing, which is another question, obviously with the 12-inch spacing, there's a few less openers, a little bit less maintenance cost, more space to get in and around things. And for crops like, I would say, beans and, let's say, canola is a very common one where you want a wider spacing. The 12-inch spacing obviously does really well in those crops. The 12-inch spacing obviously does really well in those crops. So number 9 here, what is the after sales and service like? Parts and service. So that is because we are a company that doesn't have a full dealership network, because we're still a reasonably small company. We get that question a lot, and it's one of the most common questions I get when we're selling a drill into an area where we don't have a lot of drills or where we don't have dealers. We are working on a dealership network, but we're being very picky about the dealers we choose, because we don't want to be in a dealership where there's 6 or 7 or 8 other products that are somewhat competitive to our product, because it doesn't do our product justice, and it doesn't do the farmer at the end of the road justice. If the company already has a number of machines, why would they want another one that does the same thing? So how do we do with parts and service? Up until very recently, we didn't have dealerships, and so we did everything right from factory. And if you ask any of our existing customers, I think we've done fairly well with being very responsive to questions, being ready to come out and deal with things if there are issues that come up very quickly. We had comments from a farmer who, not the farthest away that we have, but maybe 4.5 hours from our shop. He had an issue. This was years ago when he bought his first machine. He had an issue, and it was a Sunday, which we're not open on Sundays, but during the seeding season, we've got our phones on, and we're ready to go, first thing Monday morning if something does happen. So he had an issue come up, and he had left a message on somebody's phone. And Monday morning, I think it was about 10 o'clock when they rolled into his yard, and he was actually kind of surprised, because he said, his local dealer, which was an hour away, less than an hour away, he couldn't get service that fast out of them. So, I mean, we are looking for dealerships that have, good service and support. But in the meantime, and where we don't have dealerships, we make sure we serve our customers. Our machines are robust. They're, not maintenance hungry as far as comparing them to other disc drills. But things do break, and there are issues and questions that come up. And so we make sure that we support our product 100%. Even people who buy machines that they didn't get them from us, which happens more and more now as we get more machines out there. Somebody will buy a used drill, or even guys that are looking at a used drill, and they'll call and ask questions about it, and that's all free. We'll answer any questions. We'll help you out over the phone any way we can, and we'll even come out to your farm. I mean, if you didn't buy the drill directly from us, there's going to be a bit of a cost as far as covering the travel for whoever comes out, but we'll still come out and service your machine. And parts, if there's a dealership there, they stock parts. Most of the parts on our machines are quite common. So the bearings, bolts, even the discs, anything like that, they're not unique to our machine. There's only a few components that are really unique, and we stock those in Warman, and make sure we have those available. Typically it takes, less than a day and a half to get things shipped somewhere, even to the States. Shipped some parts to Oregon here just a little while ago, and they came, I think it was less than a day and a half, and they were at the farm. So, and if for some reason we can't get shipping, we'll bring them out ourselves. Again, we're still a reasonably small company, so we can do things like that. And if for some reason we can't get shipping, we'll bring them out ourselves. Again, we're still a reasonably small company, so we can do things like that. I'll say it again, just in case anybody is new here. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat. You can also ask questions on Facebook or Twitter. On Facebook, we're at Pillar Lasers Inc. And on Twitter, we're at Pillar Lasers. Also, if you're here on YouTube and you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. We will be having more regular content on here moving forward. So, we will be having more regular content on here moving forward. So, I've only got a couple of questions left. So once I'm done going through those, I will give it some time, and we'll maybe just run through a couple of the videos and that type of thing, so we can have something better than my face on the screen, and I'll leave it open for a little while for some more questions before we close it down. So another question we get is, what is this ledge that we always talk about? So when you're talking about a disc drill, typically you don't talk about a ledge, because a disc opener typically doesn't leave a ledge. They kind of just cut a slot and drop the seed in there. And our drill is different. Because it is a hybrid system, we have a seed boot in behind the disc that cuts an actual ledge for the seed. So there's a carbide cutting edge, and I'll actually see if I can try to find a picture here. No, there's a carbide cutting edge, and I don't know if I've got an, yeah, sure. So we'll go to our Mark III opener page here, and I'll try to explain that seed boot a little bit more. Yeah, sure. So we'll go to our Mark III opener page here, and I'll try to explain that seed boot a little bit more. So here is our seed boot, and so you can see right along the edge here there is a row of carbide. And so once the disc is opened the ground and pushed everything to the side, this carbide edge here slices a ledge, and it creates a ledge about 1.5 inches wide. It's kind of difficult to picture right here because of all the angles. Everything's angled a little bit, but what it does is it carves a ledge that ends up being about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches wide, and then as the soil flows over top of here, it comes back down, and then your packer wheel closes it. So that's the ledge we're talking about, is what this carves here. And then as the soil flows over top of here, it comes back down, and then your packer wheel closes it. So that's the ledge we're talking about, is what this carves here. And actually, I've got a better picture of it here, so we're going to come back. There we go. That's a much better picture. So as you can see here, we've got our seed and our fertilizer. Up here is their seed ledge. And so this was somewhere, I believe this was years ago in South Dakota, very heavy trash. After we've seeded through, we've kind of done a cross section and dug this out here. You can see the seed spread across this ledge, and it really is a firm ledge. Anybody who's used the openers will attest to the fact that when you dig down there, you can actually feel a nice firm soil ledge for your seed here. And so that's that ledge there. And then as you can see, your disc cut is off to the side, and it cuts 1.5 inches below your seed on the side here. And so you get nice full separation, but your fertilizer is right where your seed can get at it when it needs to. So once those roots develop and start going down, it's exactly where that needs to be defined, so that your seeds are going to find the fertilizer and not the weeds in between the rows. So there, that's the ledge we always talk about. So another question we get asked, and again, I just pretty much just answered that. What is the separation between the seed and fertilizer? So the separation between the seed and fertilizer is 1.5 inches vertical. So yeah, this space here, as I said, it's 1.5 inches from the bottom of the disc trench to the edge of the seed trench. And then some of those seeds are going to be a little further away because they are spread out across that 1.5 inch ledge. So at a minimum, it's 1.5 inches vertical, and then, because your seeds are spread out, you have a nice seed bed utilization there as well. At a minimum, it's 1.5 inches vertical, and then, because your seeds are spread out, you have a nice seed bed utilization there as well. Again, if you've got any questions, please type them in the chat. I'll say this a few more times, so if you've been here the whole time, I'm sorry for that, but just in case somebody new has jumped in, please type any questions you have in the chat, or you could even just say hi. You don't have to have questions. I'm sorry for that, but just in case somebody new has jumped in, I'm just checking for some other questions here. Different platforms. Or you could even just say hi. You don't have to have questions. I'm just checking for some other questions here. Different platforms. Okay, so the question on mid-row banding, why is this better than mid-row banding? So we get a variety of questions on that. We get, why don't you guys sell mid-row banders? We get, how is this better than mid-row banders? And then how is this different than mid-row banders? And that's kind of the question that I answer is, how is this different than mid-row banders? I mean, at the end of the day, there's been a lot of research done on both sides of that. On both sides of that. And I'm not going to say that I have a definitive answer because there's research that goes both ways. There are times when mid-row banders perform better, and there are times when the sideband performs better. That being said, from the research we've done, and in our opener, we feel like the sideband is the better tool overall. Now, that again changes from year to year, from place to place. One of the biggest things, though, when you look at the overall cost of running a farm, obviously a farm is a business, and you have to look at your input costs. You have to look at all of those little details. And so when you look at a mid-row bander, it is an extra opener. So you have more moving parts, more wear parts, more things in the ground that you have to drag. So again, you'll be looking at a little bit more fuel. And all of those little things added up make the double shoot just that more desirable if you look at the big picture and cost of ownership. Even resale value, if you look at the resale value of a machine and you have mid-row banders, and let's say some of the parts are worn out, that's a lot more parts that you have to look at replacing. So that's why we like the double shoot, and we also feel like it performs really well. The fertilizer is just to the side and below your seed, and so your seed can get it as soon as the root structure starts to develop. And so that's why we feel like the double shoot is, and the sideband is better than mid-row banding. I hope that answers that question. And again, if you have questions or comments, please either type them in the chat or just comment on the YouTube video afterwards, because I would love to have a conversation about that. And again, if you have questions or comments, please either type them in the chat or just comment on the YouTube video afterwards, because I would love to have a conversation about that. And again, if you have questions or comments, please either type them in the chat or just comment on the YouTube video afterwards. Just checking for some more questions. Just checking for some more questions. Okay, got another question from Mike Hastings. Thanks for that, Mike. Do you set up for liquid fertilizer or just dry? Excellent question. We set up for liquid fertilizer, and you can put liquid fertilizer down your seed run or your fertilizer run or both while maintaining your granular tubes. So yes, we do liquid, and you can do liquid alpine or starter on your seed row, and you can do liquid deep band as well. So yes. And you can do liquid alpine or starter on your seed row, and you can do liquid deep band as well. So yes. So you may have noticed the numbers are starting to change here. I'm going through a different list of questions, so I might have to just keep the numbers out. What is the warranty on a new drill? That's a great question. We have 2-year warranty on anything pillar manufactured, so any welding, our frame, assembly stuff, that type of thing. We have 2-year warranty on that, and everything else is OEM warranty, and that's 1 year typically on anything OEM like that. We have 2-year warranty on that, and everything else is OEM warranty, and that's 1 year typically on anything OEM like that. Another question we get often is, why doesn't Pillar have its own tank or seed tank? Why don't we have a tank? At Pillar, basically, our philosophy is that we design products that are going to be unique and fit a section of the market that isn't being dealt with properly right now. So, are we ever going to build a tank? I don't know. We have ideas for things, and we have worked on various parts of the R&D. We don't have a tank. We don't build a tank yet. It's not in the near future. There are a lot of tanks out there, and everything, whether it's good or bad or in between. We make our drill to work with any sort of a tank, and until we can come up with something that is going to be better than what we feel is out there right now, we're going to stay out of that. But will we build a tank in the future? Possibly. Better than what we feel is out there right now, we're going to stay out of that. But will we build a tank in the future? Possibly. Better than what we feel is out there right now, we're going to stay out of that. But will we build a tank in the future? Possibly. Got a question here from Jordan Jorgensen. Thanks for the question, Jordan. Is there a maximum amount of nitrogen that can be placed with the seed boot setup? Thanks for the question, Jordan. The short answer to that is yes. I mean, I don't know what the maximum is. All I can say is that from what I've heard from different farmers, they put their full program down and haven't had any issues as far as seed burn or anything like that. Starter fertilizer, because your seed is spread 1.5 inches wide, you can put a decent amount down, probably more so than you could if you were seeding with a single disc, because it is spread out more and your seedbed utilization is higher. Exact numbers I don't know, but I do know that guys are saying they put their full program down and don't have any issues. Again, if you own a pillar drill and you have numbers as far as what you put down, you can comment here. I would love to get that feedback, because it is a question we get asked quite often. Thanks, Jordan. I would love to get that feedback, because it is a question we get asked quite often. Thanks, Jordan. All right, so next question I've got here is, what tank is best with pillar and why? I kind of just answered that to an extent. There is no tank that we feel is like the best tank out there. We do feel there are a number of good tanks out there, and that comes down to the individual needs and desires of the farmer. So we've got a lot of machines out there with John Deere tanks, New Holland tanks, Case tanks, Borgo tanks. We've done quite a few different ones, and our drill can be set up pretty much with any tank as far as we know. Obviously a tank like a Borgo is a little different to set up. You have your larger tubes going to secondary manifolds, but even that's fairly easy to do. The newer tanks often have those tubes on the hitch of the tank, or on some of the other ones we've mounted the tubes, the big tubes, up on our drill or on the hitch of the drill. So it can be basically used with any tank, and it works well with anything. As long as the tank sends the seed to the drill is going to put it down. We've actually noticed, we've had some feedback from different customers who used our drill with the same tank that they had used another drill with, and had feedback that said they noticed they needed to use a little bit less air pressure with the pillar drill as opposed to a drill that they had been using before. So the air system that we use is fairly efficient on the drill. Again, I'll say, if you're here, new here, or just came on, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. Or if you just want to say hi, just say hi as well. Or if you just want to say hi, just say hi as well. As I mentioned before, I'll mention it again. I'm just going through a list of questions that we've compiled here. My sales team I've asked them, to give me a list of questions that they get often, and some of the questions that we often get at trade shows. I'll answer those. And also, if the audio, if I'm too loud or quiet, please let me know in the chat there as well. So who is the local dealer, or do you sell direct? The answer to that is yes. There are local dealers, and the best thing you can do is call Pillar or check on our website. We typically keep it fairly up to date as far as where our dealerships are. There's actually a few that I need to update on there, but if you don't know if there's a dealer in your local area, please just give us a call. Our phone number is 306-242-4955, or you can visit us at pillarag.com, and you can reach out to us that way, and we'll tell you if there's a local dealer or not. Where there's not a local dealer, we do sell direct. Where there is a local dealer, we will always work through that dealer. Our dealers do commit to stocking units, and so they've got money and time committed to our product, and so we want to honor that where we do have a dealership. So yes, where we do have a dealership, we'll let you know. Just got to contact us. And if we don't have a dealership in an area, we sell direct and also service direct. So if we sold you the drill directly, we service it directly and we honor the warranty. All right, I'll answer Jordan's question first here. Get another question from Jordan Jorgensen. What size are the discs and how many acres can one expect to seed with them before replacement? So Jordan, we use an 18-inch disc. Again, thank you for the question. 18-inch disc is our standard disc, and we've used a variety of different brands over the years. We're always trying to find the one that lasts the longest. We used to say that you could expect about 7,000 to 10,000 acres on a set of discs, and I mean that's very variable. We've noticed that over the last few years. When you get some really dry years, those acres are going to be lower, maybe closer to 4,000 or 5,000 acres on a really extreme case, and some guys will get over 10,000 acres on a set of discs. So the average would be, I would say, the last few years we see between 5,000 and 10,000. And again, it's a pretty big variation there, but it depends very much on the land and how dry it is. So then the other question that I popped up there, does Pillar build anything other than disc drills? And the answer to that is yes. We build a heavy harrow, and we build a very good heavy harrow. It doesn't get nearly the attention that our disc drill does, because our disc drill is kind of our main product. But we do build a heavy harrow that is a very simple but yet very good working tool. Obviously, a harrow is a secondary tool. It's not something you're going to necessarily even use every year. But we've had very good success with our harrows. And yeah, so this is our heavy harrow right here. We build them from 52 feet all the way up to 84 feet. So we build them 52, 60, 72, and 84 are the sizes that we build. So there's a couple of unique things with the Pillar heavy harrow. Everything is adjustable from in the cab. So you have hydraulic wheel rotate. You can see now he's going into field position. So you just rotate those wheels a little bit. You back up until you get all the way back, rotate the wheels back. And then what he's going to do there is just rotate the harrow down. As soon as it hits 45 degrees, it automatically locks. So you have solid locking draw tubes that automatically lock as you hit 45 degrees. And then again, as you go up, they'll unlock at 45 degrees. So we've got a visible gauge here. So this is for your tine angle adjust. And then this is for your main beam pressure. So you've got a gauge in the center there that it tells you whether or not your sections are level. And so that's the main gauge there. You can rotate your main beam back until you get those wheels coming off the ground. So you could put basically all the weight of your harrow into the tines. And then that same function, as you go into transport position, you can see how it actually rotates the wheels back. And so you can actually, when you have transport or storage, you're actually got 1,200 pounds on the hitch. So it's got positive hitch weight, which is very unique to heavy harrow. So yes, we do build another product. It's a heavy harrow. And it's a very good one. So I'll keep going through my questions here unless somebody else has another one. Please drop it in the chat. I got to screen the questions even coming from my own sales team. They're looking for some extra love in the questions that they've sent me. So thanks, Jody, for that, by the way. I'm not sure that I'm going to answer that question for you. I think we just he's asking why we have such a great looking salesman in Alberta. And the answer to that is, Jody, I guess maybe that's just all we could find at the time. I guess when you scrape the bottom of the barrel, you get what you get, right? You ask the question, I'll give the answer. Let's wait for the next one to pop up here. Okay, so another question we get is the pillar the same as the old Barton Opener? No, it's not. So it's quite different from the Barton Opener, although the inspiration from the pillar opener came from the Barton Opener, and we did work a little bit with Hugh Barton on the design. So I mean, he came to the original, so the designers of Pillar, so the guys who started Pillar, he came to them and asked if they would work with him on the opener design. So it definitely has influences from the Barton Opener, but it's not the same. And it's a Pillar patent owned by Pillar. The owners of Pillar, 2 out of the 3 owners of Pillar used to work at Flexicoil in the research and development department. And so that's where a lot of that influence comes from. A lot of the influence from our products comes from the old Flexicoil days and the way that they did things. They had some really good positive ways of doing business back in the Flexicoil days. Okay, so another question is Pillar coming out with anything new this year, or are they waiting for farm shows to begin again? If we were waiting for farm shows to begin again, we might be waiting for a while, apparently. Although we are very much hoping that Ag in Motion will go this year because, I mean, we love farm shows, and Ag in Motion is one of the best we've ever attended. So You're welcome, Jody, by the way. Egg in Motion is great. Are we bringing out any new products this year? So the Stealth Flex toolbar that we released last year is obviously a huge product for us. A lot of research and development costs. So we're not coming out with a big product this year, but we are coming out with a new innovation this year. So alongside our Mark III openers, we had the opportunity to grease our openers, the disc on the go, because the grease zerk is now in the hub. I'll kind of just show that a little bit if I can. So if we look at our opener here, now I guess I can't really see it 100% where it is, but essentially with the new Mark III opener, because it's the casting, we actually insert into the casting a grease zerk, and so the disc is now greased from within the casting through the channel there, and so we can actually grease that disc while we're moving. And so we've actually introduced an automatic greasing system for the pillar drill, and not only for the discs, but for every single grease run, every grease zerk on the drill besides the packer wheels can be greased automatically. So that's an option now available for all of our new drills, and it's actually quite a reasonably priced option as well. I will see if I can find a picture or two of that, but that might be a stretch for me. If anybody else has any questions, please let me know. Again, drop them in the chat. Good question, Jordan. Can you add the auto grease system to the existing drills? If you have Mark III openers, you can, yes. It's a little bit more work, but it's definitely doable if you have the Mark III openers. If you don't have Mark III openers, the most you could do is auto grease the rest of the grease points. So you could still do the main grease points on the drill, so your subframes and your your axles and things like that, but you wouldn't be able to grease the openers unless you have the Mark III openers. So that's something that, because the old openers you had to grease on the hub, greasing the disc through an automatic greasing system is not possible unless you have the Mark III opener. Just wait a couple minutes here for any other questions to come through. I'm going to try to find a picture or two to share with you guys. What year were the Mark III openers put on drills? Jordan, the first Mark III openers were released in 2018, but not all of the 2018 serial numbers have Mark III openers. The standard openers are still the standard option, and so not all of the machines will have Mark III openers. It's something you got to check. If you're looking at a used drill, I mean, I don't think there are any Mark III machines for sale yet in the used market, but if you are ever looking for a used drill and you look at the serial number, if it ends with a -3, that's a Mark III opener, and if it ends with a -2, that's a Mark II opener. And if you're wondering about a Mark I opener, there was a few machines at the very beginning that had a little bit of a different seed boot adjustment, and so that's the Mark I's. There's a few of those out there, but not many. All right, so I got some pictures here I will show you guys. Just look at my other screen here. Okay, so the auto greasing system. As you can see, there's a stainless steel line here, and that runs down to the disc essentially. And so we got a stainless steel line running down in the area where there could possibly be some wear, and then we've got a wrapped line that goes up to a central hub essentially. So there's our wrapped lines, and so we're using green grease line. The color of those is probably going to change in the future. So you can kind of see in this picture here, this is our manifold. So there's a few of those manifolds mounted on the drill. And then here is the main greasing system. So it's all set automatically. It is adjustable. Essentially the way it's going to be set right now from factory is that it will grease every 2 hours, give a measured shot of grease to every single grease point. And you can adjust with the plungers and stuff. You can adjust how much grease goes to each point if you want to. But essentially what we were told from the experience of the companies that deal with these type of systems is that you can expect to at least double the life of your bearings, if not more. So that was kind of the lowest ballpark figure they had, was that you would double the life of your disc bearings. I mean, even other bearings as well, but at least double, if not more. So, I mean, that's a huge deal. And, you know, obviously not having to grease every day, it's a small thing, but if, you know, there's a few days where you forget or neglect it, something like this would really help the longevity of your bearings on your machine. Yeah, so you can see the system there mounted on the front of the drill. That's going to the front axle. And here's the line going down to the opener itself. So yeah, you can see again, it's a stainless steel line, and we try to put it in the most protected area we can. It is behind the trash guard, but even though it's behind there, we use a stainless steel line just to make sure that that was gonna, you know, last as long as possible, just like everything else we build. All right, so can I just buy pillar openers and fit them onto any old frame? I changed that question a little bit because I do get that question quite often. Can I buy pillar openers and put them on any frame? The answer to that is no, you can't put them on any frame. You can buy the standard pillar opener as a retrofit. The Mark III opener is not available for a retrofit unless you currently own a pillar frame. So if you do own a pillar frame and you want to update your old openers to Mark III openers, you can contact us for pricing. You do get a nice discount on the Mark III openers, and that is a possibility. If you're just looking at purchasing pillar openers for your toolbar, only the standard openers are available, and there are only a few machines where it really does work. As an example, the Flexicoil 6000 toolbar, that was their disc drill platform. You know, that is one that they do work on. We do sell one of them with a 7x7-inch mount. Every year we sell less and less of the retrofit openers just because there's less toolbars around. It seems like that they work for. And competitively, I mean, the price just gets pretty close to, you know, just buying a pillar drill by the time you've done all the work and switched everything over. So there are a few toolbars that have been modified to work with pillar openers. And if you have questions about that, you can always contact us. But really, that's the only toolbar that they do work on. They don't work on hoe drill frames. It's just they put way too much torque on the frame. And I mean, they would essentially tear the drill apart, or there will, the height probably is an issue. A lot of drills won't have, the right way of lifting or the right height, from the ground. So there's very few frames that do work. But if you have a question about that, you can always contact us about whether it works or not. Again, if you just popping in here for the first time, or if you've just joined, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them as quick as I can. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through the list of questions that I've got here and keep answering those until I've run out of questions. So another question we get is it possible to get a demo on my farm? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. If you are in an area where there's a dealer, we do work with dealers to try to do demonstration programs. If you're not close to a dealer, or even if you are, what we have is we've got a plot seeder that we can pull behind a truck, and we can pull it all over the countryside. It's on a fifth wheel, and it's got the outside wing off of one of our 50-foot drills, so it's very representative of our machine. And we can pull it right to your farm, and we can be in and out in 15 minutes if we need to be. So it's not going to take a lot of your time. And we can do a couple different field locations if you've got a couple different situations you want to see the machine work in. If you are interested in seeing a demo, there's a couple ways you can go about connecting with us. Twitter, Facebook. You can comment here on YouTube. You can always call us or email us and ask to be put on the demo list. And we do our best to try to get to as many as we can every spring, and as well in the fall if we need to. So yes, you can definitely get a demo on your farm. I'm going to go back up my list here and answer this one now. All right. What is the cost of maintenance? I hear disc drills are expensive. So again, we get that a lot as well, because disc drills are typically known to be very high maintenance. Disc drills are more maintenance than hoe drills typically, and ours isn't exclusive to that. But as far as disc drills go, the pillar is actually fairly easy on maintenance. As far as cost, it's difficult to break down exactly, but we've done some research, and Jody in Alberta has done a fair bit of cost analysis. And so what he did was some research on a 50-foot drill over a period of 5 years. And the cost for that one was about $1.25 per acre for maintenance, overall maintenance, and making sure that that drill stayed at tip-top shape. So that's just an idea. Obviously, with just one size of drill and in a certain area, you may be more than that or less than that depending on where you farm and what size of drill you have. But that's just a general idea. Is if you compare it to other disc drills, we feel like we're on the low end as far as the cost of the maintenance and even the time that you spend in maintenance. The pillar drills are very easy to work on. You're always going to have to work on farm machinery no matter what. Whether you get the dealership to do it or you do it yourself, there's a cost there, whether that be your time and money or paying a dealership to do it. If your machine is easy to work on, that's just going to be much easier and much cheaper in the long run. So our machine is very easy to work on, very simple tools, and we're always working at trying to make it, stand up longer with less maintenance. So yeah. Any other questions come to mind? I'm just about done my list here, and then I think we'll close it up. But I'm gonna try to do this, fairly regularly, whether it be question and answer or if I've got a topic that somebody wants to talk on. I'm also interested in bringing on farmers or industry professionals to just discuss different aspects of farming, no-till farming, direct seeding, and different things like that. So if you know of somebody or like somebody that you would like to hear from more, questions that you would like answered for somebody who is a professional in different fields, let me know, because I'll try my best to get somebody like that to come and join me. All right, here's another one. How much horsepower do I need for a 60-foot drill? I hear the openers, or I hear disc openers use a lot of horsepower. Because we pull faster than a lot of drills, we do require a little bit more power to get that speed. But what we recommend is about 6 to 6.5 horsepower per opener. So you take the number of openers, you times it by 6.5 horsepower, and that gives you a pretty good idea of what we ask for the drill. And your tank is going to be on top of that. So that's calculated with about that 6 to 6.5 miles an hour in mind, and also with a few hills and things like that. So if you've got nice flat land, you might be able to get away with less power. If you've got more steeper, bigger hills, you might need more. And again, your tank plays into that too. Your tank is going to be a requirement on top of that. All right, here we go. How hard is it to set the seeding depth? Okay, so that, just to give a very simple answer for that, it's very easy to set the seeding depth. Again, I will find a picture here to reference my answer. All right, so to set the seeding depth on the pillar opener, there's two different ways of doing it. You can either use the cylinders in the subframe. So if you look here, there are 2 cylinders per section on the DH series drills. And there are shims in these cylinders. And so what that does is that's going to set your frame depth, which is going to set the depth of all of your openers in sections. So let's say you buy a new drill, you get it to your farm. It's going to be set to seed about 1 inch deep from factory. And with just the frame, you can quickly change the depth from about 1/2 inch up to about 1.5 inches. So you've got that inch or so of leeway where you can just adjust with the frame. And that's just a matter of adding or removing shims. So let's say I'm seeding at 1 inch deep and I want to go, let's say, seed at 1/2 inch. If I put a 1/2 inch shim in all of my cylinders, it's going to change my seeding depth by 1/2 inch. It's very close to 1-to-1 ratio. If you do need to adjust the openers, it is just a wedge. So it takes about, on a 60-foot drill, maybe half an hour or so for one person to change the drill. There's no bolts to take out. There's nothing to remove. All you have to do is move a wedge. It's just a handle. Move it up, pivot the opener over to a new letter, and then re-engage it. It's a very simple process. Any more questions coming through? If anybody has any more questions, please type them. I think I'm going to be probably ending this here in about 5 minutes. And beyond that, again, you can always comment right on the YouTube video here if you have any questions, or you can contact us at Pillar. You can call us at 1306-242-4955, or you can go to pillarag.com. If you are not already a subscriber to our YouTube page, please do so. And if you have any questions at all, I mean, just reach out to us. We definitely want to help if we can. I'm just looking through my list of questions here to see if I've got the ones I need to answer today. And as far as adjusting the depth on the Stealth Flex frame, the SF71, it's exactly the same way. So there's also shims within the cylinders to make a quick depth adjustment, and you can also adjust the individual openers when you need to. I'm going to give a couple more minutes for questions here, and I'll just let the silence hang. If you have any more questions, please type them now, and then we'll close it up in just a couple of minutes. All right, folks, I'm going to end it there. If you have any more questions, please contact us, or talk in the comment box below here. All right, folks, I'm going to end it there. If you have any more questions, please contact us. It was great to talk to all of you guys. Thanks for asking some questions, guys. I really appreciate it. It's great to talk to anybody during these times. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks for asking some questions, guys. I really appreciate it. It's great to talk to anybody during these times. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you again soon.